If you're tired of not making progress and you're ready to be the artist you know you're meant to be, you're in the right place. You're listening to the Singer's Path podcast. The Path, or Performing Artists Training Hub, will cover everything, including singing tips that actually work, advice from top industry professionals, and life-changing mindset shifts. Out with the starving artist and in with the thriving artist. I'm your host, Sarah Bishop, professional singer, actor, educator, and entrepreneur. I'm not afraid to speak the truth and stop the gatekeeping of quality information so you can actually become the artist you dream of being. So let's get on the path, shall we? Even though we're all on our own journeys, it always helps to have a guide. Hello. Welcome back to the Singer's Path podcast. It's me, your host, Sarah Bishop. And today's a punchier episode, mostly because I put this off too late in the day, and my husband and I have dinner plans, and Amanda needs to add it out. So this is going to be a punchy episode, hopefully. And we're going to cover something that's pretty important that happens to every singer. There was a whole other episode about the trap that happens when you study singing intensely or you choose to have it as a profession. I think this goes for anything in life, any kind of artistry, anything you choose to study as a craft. What ends up happening is sometimes we can lose our joy. It can suck out our joy. And that's a no-go because then we lose the reason why we started doing this in the first place. Okay. So there's some really fun ways to reactivate your joy. And then there's also the opportunity to look inwards at kind of what's causing us to get away from our joy. So that's what we're going to cover today. I mean, it's the holidays coming up when I'm recording this. I can't believe that Christmas is a week away. That's insane. It's also 2 days until my birthday. When I'm recording this. So that's crazy too. I'm excited for my birthday, I guess. I mean, when you're in your 30s, at a certain point, you're just like, wait, so I turned 30 a little while ago, so I'm not 30, but I'm not the year after 30, because then that I would remember that because that was closer, but now I don't remember. That's what it's like being in your 30s. After 31, you're like, how old am I? So that's how this birthday is going, but I'm excited for tomorrow. I have a nice day planned. It should be pretty easy. I'm not sure if I'm going to record a podcast on my birthday. I was going to try not to work, which I don't know if that ever happens, to not work at all, but that's the plan right now. So that's why we're doing this episode right now. Reminder, I know there's probably going to be another thing that plays. Appreciate you, but you only have a couple weeks left to get into that inner circle and at the founder's rate. And the reason I'm being so badgery about it, like I am talking about it a lot, because it's my job for you to know about it. And I just know to the core of my heart, I just know how many people it's going to help. And if you're a listener, if you know a singer, if you know another kind of artist that struggles with these complexities of like, you know, what I'm going to talk about today, like we get away from our joy and then it becomes really difficult. And, you know, it's like artists tend to be really passionate people. So when they lose their passion for something that they made a lot of sacrifice and a lot of life choices around, it can be a lot. So if you know anyone that's pursuing singing professionally or any kind of art professionally, I really want you. I make less money if you guys get in at the founder's rate. You have to understand, my motivation is not to make money. I would make more money if you heard about this later and you joined for more than $2 a day or less. Really, it's less than $2 a day. It's not even $2 a day to join. This subconscious support, this neural rewiring around the stuff we're going to talk about today. And like, it's not in my best interest to push out the lowest rate it's going to be to you right now. You have to understand that. Like, I just want you to have access to it because I know how important it is and I want you to get it at the lowest price possible. So that's why you really got to check out the inner circle. And if you know any artists in your life, like this is the perfect gift. And you know why? Because it shows that you care and support their dreams truly, because the inner circle teaches them how to genuinely support themselves internally. All of the craziness that happens as an artist, this gives you that support to reclaim your creativity when it comes up. That extra hand-holding to, look inward at, what is our relationship around our creativity? Why did we start doing this in the first place? And how did we get away from it? And also, like, other themes. Like if we want to be visible, we want to grow our content. How do we make our systems feel safe to be able to do that, to be able to get our art on the map? How do we learn to have a better relationship with money so we can fund our own art, so we can continue making things, so we don't have to just be surviving and scraping by and not in a state where we can really be making things, where it's easier for us to fall out of joy around our art. And maybe it's something around self-worth, right? I've always been insecure about dancing. Like, an artist that just doesn't quite understand or know how to believe in themselves ruthlessly. We're always told that. We're always told, hey, you have to believe in yourself more than anybody else will believe in you. And yet no one actually gives you the step-by-step process to, at a psychological subconscious level, be able to do that. And that's why this is co-created with a therapist, with other experts who specialize in this. I'm not just going to give you crap, right? This is the perfect gift for an artist, because it when you give this to an actor, a singer, a dancer, anyone that's trying to do this professionally, what you're saying is, I believe in you. I know you can do this. And I know you're in this for the long run. It's really offering them support. It's offering them support for their dreams at the deepest level possible, so that they can return to the whole reason they did this in the first place, so they can be ironclad in their resilience, so they can feel safe to express in the way that they want, so that they can learn to let go of opportunities that weren't for them, so that they can grow their following, so that they can grow their fan base, so they can get closer to the relationship with money, and so that they can ultimately manifest and bring in the things that they want in their life. That's ultimately what this does. It teaches artists to become their best versions of self, their internally safe version of self, so that they can take the scary action. Anyway, there's also 2 live calls a month. It's absolutely wonderful. I'm so psyched. Guys, the lineup for classes that we have in 2026 with these professionals who are going to come, and it's not even just all of the internal work that's behind being an artist and holding yourself through the ups and downs of this, but there's also career strategy in here too. This is real career strategy with people who specialize in helping people in different areas. Specifically, I have some acting people, career strategists for actors and branding yourself. We have possibly some agents on the line maybe coming in. None of this is set in stone yet, but that's just to get excited. It's worth the cost just for that, to ask questions and hear the insight from industry professionals who specialize in these things. So anyway, if you have an artist in your life and you're not sure what to give them, it's this. It is this. This is the thing that's separating them from where they want to be. That belief in themselves, if it isn't ironclad, it isn't strong, if they're wavering, if they're in a down slump, or even if they're not in a down slump and they're in it for the long game and they want to have a long, successful career, this without a doubt will always keep them having that strength inside of them and holding on to the whole reason they did this in the first place. So all of that to say, please go check out the Inner Circle. The Founders Rate's gonna be over by January 7th. So I want you to have it cheap, so go check it out. Okay. Anyway, let's talk about reactivating that creativity, y'all. So what ends up happening is, the many themes that I talked about that the Inner Circle covers, some artists get swept up in a jobby job where they realize they need more money to be creative. So this happens to me. And the whole reason why I'm also in the Inner Circle doing this work is because, the focus becomes on the thing that's making money or that's blossoming. So for me, it was business, right? And so as I'm focusing all of my effort on my business, it takes away the priority to also be creative, right? So if all my time is spent doing content and making emails and, teaching and developing products and doing all this kind of businessy stuff, even though it's related and it's creative in its nature and who it's serving and what it's doing, it ultimately is not me writing my own music. It's not me acting, right? So through this process, it was easy for me to put creative projects that I was scared of doing on the back burner, and to also neglect my self-care, my creative self-care. Because what ends up happening when we're someone that thrives and we decide to go into this professionally, it is an act of self-care to continue to prioritize projects that are meaningful to us and not just projects that make us money, right? And so for me, the project that makes me money is my business and obviously making content and doing all this stuff. And yes, that's sort of creative. But when I let my own creative projects go to the back burner and don't prioritize them, I am neglecting parts of myself, right? And actually what ends up happening and what has been happening by applying what the work that we do in the Spotlight system that's in part of that inner circle membership, by walking the walk and talking the talk of what I'm trying to explain to you is like gonna fucking light up people's worlds over here. While I'm doing it, this is what's unfolding. My creative projects, what I care about, are starting to explode because I'm doing that internal work. So I'm getting connected with people that can help make those creative projects a reality. But this has been, to get me to this point, has taken time of doing that internal work, mostly because I got away from my own creative play. When you get sucked into making money out of your art, it can be really easy to get away from the whole reason you did this in the first place. So if I rewind, right, like I'm currently at the point where I'm finally like truly reactivating my creative play. There are plans in motion. There are projects that have already been finished. There are relationships being built where the creativity is taking just as much of a priority as, you know, making money and having a job and like trying to audition and all of that. As I elevate the creativity, actually more money and more opportunity comes in. And that's another reason why like the money and creative energy are absolutely so important and so in sync, because it's like you end up proclaiming to the universe or whatever, hey, my creative intuition and like what I'm being shown to make into this world fucking matters. And I'm going to trust that. And then not only that, but it also lights you the fuck up. So then you become a lot happier and healthier, which then makes you thrive in other areas of your life. So that's why I keep saying this, focusing on creating things, reactivating play and making it fun again. Why that's so significant is that it has its, you know, it filters back into everything else. It makes you a better version of yourself because you're truly taking care of who you truly are by playing with yourself, right? In that way. And that wasn't meant to sound weird. But you know what I mean? Playing in the activation of allowing that creative child, that joy that you initially got when you started doing this in the first place. Another way people can really get out of their creative play and really feel just like, wow, like this just isn't fun anymore, right? Beyond the slog of needing to make money and the stress that can, you know, it kind of divorces you from the joy of the marriage you had of your art to begin with. Another thing that can really kind of divorce you from your joy and feel like you're out of your joy with your creativity and singing is, hey, maybe you had a really serious job for a long time, like the first time that this actually happened to me, where I felt devoid of joy in my art and just really felt like I really needed to mix it up and focus on something else, was when I was in cabaret for a long time. That's very dark subject material. And so I was constantly like thinking about very dark things and like every single day. And at a certain point, it just kind of made me feel sad and drained. Like doing certain roles that are really difficult, whether you're singing them or you're acting them, dark material can really drain you of your joy and your light, even if you're doing the thing you love. Sometimes even the material that you're addressing can drain you. So you reactivating the play and basically inviting that inner child back in. Sorry, I hit my piano. But inviting basically the inner child that is the part of you that's obsessed with doing this to begin with. Somewhere along the way, whether it's with money or stress, or you have a job that's, you know, not allowing them to kind of breathe and do something a little bit lighter. What ends up happening is that inner child, in a sense, that wants to play kind of gets put to the wayside, and we more or less tell them, hey, we're not able to play right now. We're not prioritizing that play. And then they can get jaded, they can get mad, they can get upset. And then ultimately, sometimes it can stop us from doing the thing we loved to begin with. Or in the case of you were doing a really serious job, you just feel drained. Like you just feel like your pilot light is out. You can't get started again. Sometimes things can happen in your life. I mean, it's life, where you have you feel like someone doused your light in general. Like if you got dumped or, you know, a bad situation happened or someone dies, like there's things that can happen where it can feel like all elements of you are out, right? Like the best way I can describe this is like a pilot light. Like anytime I've gone through great bouts of grief in my life, it does kind of feel like that. Like, where is like the joy and fun in my life? I decided to be an artist. Why does making something feel so freaking hard? Like I want to do anything else but that. But that's what I'm saying is like sometimes the thing, especially in those moments where being creative and like writing a song or painting a picture might seem like the last thing you want to do, more often than not, the way to return to yourself is to return to the original purpose that you started doing this in the first place. So if it's for singing, returning to singing as a tool of self-soothing, which is what singing has been for a lot of us growing up, right? So like when no one understood how to sing, we would just sing as children because it was fun and it was soothing and it was playful. So in order to like when say you're on the floor, like you did a really dark subject, your pilot lights out, maybe you got dumped, or maybe you're just so far away from your dream and your joy, you don't even know where to start. You're like, I just know I'm not really myself. I know I'm not really having fun in my life. And I know this other thing used to bring me joy. How do I reactivate that creative play? The first thing is do like, so that you don't overwhelm yourself, right? First of all, just like ask yourself, what would be something that wouldn't feel overwhelming, but would feel delightful? That has to do with your art, right? So if say you had a show, right? You did something dark material and you just feel like so drained and so heavy and like, doing your art really isn't fun right now because it's all about doing this job. Ask this artist child of yours, like journal about it. You can journal about it. You can ask, you can get in the inner circle. There's an entire program that's about reactivating creative play, which is more or less the artist way on crack. Not only is it like you can use the artist way while you do it, but like we also use hypnosis and subconscious reprogramming to help contact your inner artist child and ask like, what is it that I need, and help get your brain and your system on board to do that, to do those steps. So obviously in the inner circle membership, like this exists, but like the first thing you can do is ask like, what will be one step? Like what's one simple thing that I can do that's not going to feel overwhelming, but like I can get in the habit of? For example, maybe it's like just starting to sing in the shower again. Like maybe you're someone, like I've done this too, when I'm singing all day long and I'm like listening to people sing all day long, I stopped singing. And so then became a habit of like, wow, I used to like going back to when it was simple. I used to sing in the shower as a kid, like every day. Like that was my refuge. That was my place of self-soothing. That was my one of my biggest places of joy. Is it possible? Can the one thing be that every time I get in the shower, I sing? Right? Like kind of stacking habits. And so when you're returning to a habit that you used to have as a child when your creativity was flowing and more easy, it's easier for you to contact and reclaim that joy that you once had and start to practice that joy. Another major step that you can do, again, we're so punchy today, I'm just like busting through this, but I think whoever needs this will find it. Another thing is we can actually lose a lot of our creative joy out of fear of perfectionism too. So say you've been working on a project, you've been writing a script for 7 years, okay? Or you're re-editing, rethinking, like you don't want to post the YouTube video, you're like second guessing it, Actually, perfectionism is really just a form of self-sabotage in the sense that you're just delaying posting it, right? There's a word, oh my God, what is the fucking word that I'm trying to think of? Procrastinating. Procrastinating is a word. Perfectionism is just a form of procrastination. And what you're doing is you're fixating on something needing to be perfect because you're afraid that if it's not perfect, you will be, rejected, and you don't feel safe unless it's perfect and you have control over it. So you keep working on it. Your brain's very smart, and what it's really doing is it's spinning its wheels in an effort to have you never post it so that you stay safe or you stay where you are, right? Even though consciously that's not what you want. You want to share things, but when you have a subconscious story of perfectionism running, which is really just a sneaky way of procrastinating, that can ruin your joy because then you become obsessed with detail and you're not really being mindful of just the whole reason you probably started to do this to begin with, which was just to finish it and to complete it, right? So one of the main steps is if you're noticing, hey, I'm having a hard time sharing this. It doesn't feel fun. I'm having a hard time, finishing these projects. The action step then to reactivate the creative play is you can help invite your inner child out and actually purposely make something messy. So like make a version that's purposefully bad. Sometimes what that does is it can activate, and you don't have to post that, but even just the act of doing it can help like this inner child in us. Because really when we're being creative and we're making things, this is a younger version of us that we're playing with that has this creative impulse and that's so gifted. And so when you kind of let that inner teenager, that inner child in a sense, come out and do it messy and do it wrong. Actually, Steph Park talks about this in the interview that we did a few weeks ago of how sometimes in order to have a breakthrough with our art, whether that's returning to our joy or to up level as a singer in our technique or to be able to do XYZ thing, you actually have to like regulate yourself through it being bad and allow yourself to kind of tantrum a little bit and do it badly. Often that can be a really healing element to returning to moving past perfectionism, because it's like, well, fuck it. I'm going to do it bad and whatever. And sometimes that kind of defiance in the inner child can really free it up and make it fun. Like sometimes, it's like making it a game. Like if you're trying to connect with a child, which is your inner artist, right? The person that you need to connect back with yourself that's lost its joy because you haven't been playing with them, because you've been ignoring them, because you've been focusing on XYZ thing. That's why you've got lost touch with your joy. What would entice a child? Well, making it a game, making it fun, making it messy. When we're kids, we make a fucking mess. Right? Like if you're an artist and you've been like obsessed with color theory and making it fucking perfect, why don't you just make something purposely messy? Why don't you fucking finger paint or something? Like do it the opposite way. If you're a singer and you've been hyper fixating on getting this perfect before you release it on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, and you've been hyper fixating, oh, it has to be absolutely perfect. What if you sang something like that you used to like to sing and you like kind of sang it badly for a second? Like, is it possible to get your system to be okay with singing it badly? And if it's not, can you learn to regulate through singing it badly? Because again, on the other side of being okay and accepting where you are is actually where the breakthrough is. And if you keep resisting, well, I need it to be so diligent and so military and it has to be perfect and da-da-da-da-da. That, of course, is going to suck out your joy. Okay, so do the opposite to return to your joy. So basically, it's like, they talk about this in The Artist's Way, too. It's like there's almost this nostalgic element to reclaiming the fire of your creative joy, because ultimately what you're doing is reconnecting with a younger version of you that started like enjoying doing this art to begin with, right? Sometimes you can journal about, when did you first start doing this art that you got away from? So if it's singing, how did you used to enjoy singing? Like, what did you used to sing? What music, right? Like, where would you sing? Would you sing by yourself? Would you sing with your parents? Would you sing with your family? Would you sing at church? And more or less, what you're doing is you're starting to recreate a relationship with that inner child, saying, hey, I'm sorry I kind of stopped focusing on the fun of this. And I know it's hard to create when, it doesn't feel fun anymore. Can we return to the things that we once did to develop a better relationship? Like, it's more or less kind of an element of like parts work that happens, right? Like revisiting younger versions of yourself and tuning in and being like, hey, y'all, like, can we have fun singing again? When was the last time I had fun singing again? And touch base with that, whether it's through journaling. Now, again, there's a whole program that exists with this in the inner circle called Reactivating Creative Play that exists. And again, the best way that I can describe this program that exists is it's like The Artist's Way on crack. And if you've never heard of The Artist's Way, it's literally like a life-changing book that will help you reactivate your creative play. But we just take it like this program that exists in the inner circle is amplifying that, right? It takes it basically invites you to use the Artist Way, which is a book, right? Anybody can get it. It's not very expensive. It's a 12-week program, more or less. It's a 12-step creative recovery program. But then in the inner circle, so it takes the Artist Way and it goes, hey, so here's this already amazing thing that's helped millions of people all over the world, this 12-step creative recovery program. And we're also going to add an element of nervous system regulation, an element of hypnosis. We're going to add some extra exercises. And also there's the accountability, because I think the hard part in artist recovery and creative recovery is that we lack accountability when we're not doing it with someone else. Like, I don't know about you, but if you've ever done the Artist Way, I can't remember what week it is, if it's week 6 or week 5. There's one week where there's a no reading week. And without a doubt, like every time I've done it, I've like fallen off that week until I was in a group where we were all doing it together. So that's another reason why the inner circle is awesome, because we do challenges and stuff that help us hold each other accountable through doing these things. So doing creative recovery and doing the hypnosis, or maybe you'll even find a buddy within that membership that wants to do the Artist Way with you and partner it with the Reactivating Creative Play program. So all that to say, these are certain elements that you can incorporate when you're noticing like, hey, I've gotten away from my joy, whether it's because it's been stress related, money related, I'm putting so much pressure on myself, or the job that I have isn't really bringing me joy and I'm too tired and drained at the end of the day to return to something that makes me happy. Or maybe it's like you've lost all your joy because you've become such a perfectionist about it, or you've become so micromanagement based for yourself. Like say it's singing, you're so obsessed with it being technically perfect that you're not just allowing yourself to express and create the way that you used to. So the way to return back to that is touching base with the younger version of yourself, whether you're doing it in the inner circle with the whole program that exists in there, whether you're doing it through the Artist Way, or at least you just start to journal and start to touch base with the younger parts of you that did once fall in love with this, and you start rekindling a relationship with that and allowing them to be a little naughty and allowing them to be a little messy and allowing yourself to move past the perfectionism and the heaviness that you've been carrying around. And that, more often than not, that's just a part of it, but that will help revive it, right? So I'm going to leave you here with this. Find, if it's singing, because most of you guys are singers. So if you've kind of gone away from your joy of singing and you're noticing that it doesn't seem fun anymore, or it feels like it's hard to return to, or you feel like you become obsessed with technique, I want you to remember what I call a soul song. What is a song when you were a child that just lit you up to sing? For me, it was Part of Your World, always. So return to singing the soul song. And then the second thing I'd have you do, if you're just like trying to reactivate creativity at all and like get started again off of some kind of block, then do a stacking situation, like habit stack. So for me, when I realized that I wasn't singing that much because I was listening to other people sing all day long, but I really wasn't singing for myself, I would stack that habit with singing in the shower again, because again, I'm touching base with where did I fall in love with singing to begin with? Okay, can I in that scenario, can I hold myself accountable by allowing myself to sing things that light me up just while I'm in the shower, just to get it started? And also, I just want to say this, if you do feel like your light is out and you're just feel like you're slogging along and, you know, your pilot light's out and you don't know how to get it started. And I just want to say, I see you. This is a challenging part of being a creative, but it's inevitable. I think people come in and out of it, but there's nothing wrong with you. It's just a matter of making it fun again. Figuring out a way for you to make it fun again. And there are resources available. Again, there's the Inner Circle membership. I highly, highly recommend this, especially while it's lower priced, guys. So there's that. And there's also always the Artist Way, which is an invaluable tool for artists all over the world. And with that, I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday season. I hope you get to do something fun and delightful for your inner child during this holiday season, whether that's rest, whether that's playing a game, whether that's just having a good old giggle with one of your family members. I really, 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 really hope sincerely that you have a wonderful holiday season. I really appreciate you listening. If you like this podcast, please leave us a 5-star written review. And then if you actually take a screenshot of that, oh my God, so appreciated. First of all, I love connecting with you guys. Second of all, if you send me a screenshot of your written review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, I think Apple Podcasts is the only one where you can write one. But if you send it to me at thesingerspath@gmail.com email address, I will enter you to win a free lesson. We'll do a drawing. We just did a drawing back in October, so we'll probably have a drawing coming up here in the winter sometime. So if you're interested in taking a singing lesson with me or working with me, that's a way that we love to give back. So yeah, and I also just love hearing from you guys to begin with. So that's all today on today's episode. I really hope you have a wonderful holiday, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. This helps me get this information out to more artists all over the world. Let's work together to spread the joys of music. Until next time, I'm your host, Sarah Bishop, signing off from the Singer's Path podcast. Thanks for listening.